Hello, world, and everybody watching this. This is part 2 of surviving the COVID-19 quarantine crisis that we're all going through, and I want to share a couple of tips with you. This is item number 2. Last time I talked about rhythms of life. Item number 2 is talking about beauty. Often times of great tragedy make us appreciate things that are beautiful in our life. And so rather than just waiting until after the fact we realize this all along, let's start at the beginning and be looking for these things. So number 1, food. That might sound dumb, but as people are standing in line and they are waiting and waiting and waiting to get into a grocery store, and we don't have the 11 billion choices that we normally have, food is such an important. Every meal we eat needs to be a kind of liturgy. It creates a rhythm in our day where we stop and there's this sacred space, if you will, where we sit around the table as a family and we enjoy a meal very intentionally. Now I realize you might not be able to, you might hear this and be thinking, hey, I can't cook that well, or what you're saying sounds like a 5-star meal. I'm not saying that. When we eat and we meet together with intentionality, we can be eating peanut butter and jelly and we still appreciate it for what we have. So food forces us to stop several times a day, and rather than using food as comfort, rather than avoiding food because we have a body image identity crisis or phobia or eating disorder of multiple varieties, rather than focusing on it that way, we need to sit and go, okay, this is a time where, in spite of all the bad things that are happening in the world, we can sit and we can eat together and we can enjoy this moment, this plate of food right here, right now, and just kind of block everything out. And it creates a new space for that. Item number 2, exercise or fresh air. I know a lot of gyms are shut down. Jokingly, I've been talking to people saying I think there's 2 kinds of people going into the quarantine, or who are going to come out of the quarantine. There are those who are, well, we're quarantining, so let's just stuff our faces and enjoy it. The others are, everybody is exercising these days. But obviously there's mental health benefits to exercise, but it's also an affirmation of there is beauty in the world that we can go out and enjoy. When I was in the Middle East during the Arab Spring, each day I would go out onto the roof of our building. We're all in 12-story tall buildings, and I would get just a few moments of fresh air, pure around, because in spite of the fact that all of the rioting and the protesting is going on downtown, or in spite of the fact that more than 1,000 people died in our country, in spite of all of that, I'm standing on the top looking out at the beautiful scenery that God has made, and it's just another way of appreciating the beauty. When we appreciate the beauty, we are affirming the Creator and His creatorship. And so that's really important for us to do. Number 3, music. Music is a kind of beauty. It impacts us intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, physically even. Listen to music, play music. If you don't know any music but you have an instrument at the house that you've always wanted to try to learn, this is a great time to pick up that instrument and start banging it out on the instrument. So focus on on music. Number 4, engage your mind. It's so important to have engaging conversation. I think as we don't have our kind of casual talk, as all the sports have been canceled and there's not just the sort of usual team banter, people are having to think of, how do I actually have a real conversation with other people? And so engage your mind during this time. Read a book together. Get 5 of your friends together and pick a book that will expand your horizons, and sit around on a Skype call or FaceTime call or whatever and talk about it. And so this is just another way of embracing the beauty that God has made in the world.